So First Look First is a photography exhibition featuring 18 large-scale cityscape pictures of Toronto. Within each photo is a different person from the GTA who's experienced a unique human rights challenge. There's people who have been wrongfully incarcerated, folks who survived the horrors of the residential school, refugees from North Korea. They're sort of buried within each photo, sort of on purpose, to encourage us to look beyond the landmarks of the city, to look beyond the sort of postcard imagery that you see for the humanity that exists all around us.
Each photograph is accompanied by a short story about the person in it.
In this photograph is Hyuk. He's a North Korean refugee who escaped from North Korea back in 2010. What I've tried to do here, as best as I could, is sort of recreate the experience that someone may have had when they were undergoing some human rights challenges. This individual told me that when he escaped from North Korea, what got to him was the shiny lights across the border in China. They sort of lured him in. And so I took him to the place in Toronto that had the most light, the most lit, Yonge and Dundas Square. There's another photograph of a woman who's a residential school survivor. She's on Queen Street West. I wanted to put her in front of a building that to me sort of looked very colonial. So I put her in front of a courthouse. And in the image, you can see her walking away from the courthouse, almost to say that she's walking away from the residential school system and walking away from that past that's behind her and moving forward. What I'm hoping is that these images, these iconic images of Toronto, lure the viewer in and encourage folks to learn more about the individuals who are in the photo and learn more about some of the injustices that exist here in the city. That, for example, Black people are 20 times more likely to die in a fatal experience with the police than non-Black people. The fact that there are over 50 boil water advisories across First Nations across this entire country, that on any given night, more than 10,000 Torontonians experience homelessness. I want people to get connected to these stories.
There is also a multimedia component. Through an app on your phone, each photo can come to life.
The intention there is to bring life to these images and also bring life to the stories that you're seeing unfold in front of you.
How did you go about finding the subjects?
I've had the privilege over the last 10 years through my full-time job at JAYU, which is a human rights and arts charity that I founded, to connect with some of our world's most remarkable people who've also experienced incredible injustice. So I felt a responsibility to these people that I had met, but also a responsibility to my community to shed a light on some of the injustices that these folks have faced.
And it all started with this photograph of a young man dear to Cohen's heart, the piece entitled, "I Will Be Your Friend in the Daylight Again."
It's a photo of a streetcar in the sunset on Queen Street West. I took it of a person in Toronto named George who was struggling with homelessness. I actually got to mentor George over the last 6 years through some youth programming that I'm doing. And so I wanted George to be the first. Unfortunately, George actually passed away earlier this year from substance abuse, and he's no longer here to see this exhibition. But when I look at this photo, I'm reminded of George, and I'm reminded of the beginning of this project. And so this exhibition is dedicated to George. It started with him, and it ends here with him as well.